Welcome to episode 20 of season 4 of the Gateway Geeks Podcast. This time we wrap up our ongoing conversation on Wandavision and chat about our favorite animation. Sarah manages to get in some K-pop discussion at the end, naturally. Now your coterie of hosts, Joe, Tracy, Sarah, Chris, Aaron, and Wendy. Oh, weird. Why doesn't yours do the announce thing, Chris?
I don't know.
That's very weird. Okay. Oh yeah, we have a game this time. Okay. Welcome to episode 20 of season 4 of the Gateway Geeks Podcast. This time we're talking about animation and the season finale and series finale, actually, of Wandavision, right? So we talked about maybe what would be the Wandavision for our own lives individually. And I have to say mine is Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but I just pretend that Joss Whedon isn't a real person.
No.
Would you really want to live in that universe, though? It seems very likely that you would be murdered by a vampire.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's got to go some way. I'd be fine with that.
Fair enough.
That's
a lot
how you
easier
eat
to-
my dogs.
It's a lot easier to stake vampires than a virus.
That's true.
Yes. How about you, Sarah? What is yours?
Oh, hello. I'm Sarah Jane Connor. Mine would be the monkeys, like zany hijinks, some sweet tunes, everything reset to 0 at the end of 30 minutes.
Oh, Sarah, do you like the monkeys?
What?
I don't know. I never heard this before.
I don't know. Who can say?
All right,
Did
Chris,
that
what's
even
yours?
did that make the edit the last time? I don't remember if we talked about that while we were recording or not.
I think we
Is this
talked about
just
that
a
before
weird
we were
reference?
recording. It was before we were recording.
Oh god.
Hey, this is Chris Knetzer, and equally staying on brand, it's definitely Star Trek. I not a captain, mind you. No, I want to be comfortably surrounded by competent people doing mundane things in a very pleasant working. Yeah, no, it's John Hodgman put it best when he said that especially Star Trek Next Generation is competence porn. Like it just it exists in a world where you're surrounded by people who are the best at what they do, and everyone's really nice to each other, and you just want to work.
Yeah, everybody. You get to wear your pajamas all day. You know, when you're
There's carpeting everywhere inexplicably.
The greatest food delivery system ever.
Oh, I cannot exist in the same world as a replicator. Look at me as it is, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Well, I mean, I see you beat me to Star Trek.
Is everyone else losing him too?
Yeah.
Aaron?
He fell in a
trauma escape
wormhole.
World. Hello.
Start it again. We lost you. No.
His does this sometimes. It's like stretches him out in time and then it catches up.
And he's yelling, "Can you hear me?" And I'm like, I can hear you down the hall. So we'll just clip this part out.
Go ahead, Wendy.
My ongoing theory is that Aaron becomes unstuck
No,
in
we
time.
should probably wait for him to come back.
Aaron with Quantum Leap. That would be amazing.
He's back over Dresden right now watching the firebombing.
Oh my god.
So do we keep
Tracy,
going or do we just wait for him to come back?
I mean, we can wait. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's no big deal.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. We got like every other it's weird enough to be because I can hear him down the hall and there's a delay.
Uh-huh.
So it's weird enough, but he was splitting out here, but I could still hear him talking. I'm like, is anybody else completely lost him?
Hey, Aaron. He's back.
Your audio's not on yet.
Hello.
It's
There you
we
go.
Okay,
go.
there we go.
All right.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, fun editing note for Joe. You'll find out is that every time someone drops off and picks up again, it creates a separate audio.
Oh,
Oh,
great.
fun.
fun.
Fun
Okay.
time.
Fun time.
Go ahead, Aaron.
All right. So as much as I would, Chris beat me to Star Trek, but it's probably best that I would not be stuck in that world. One, because of the whole food replicator thing. But I mean, let's face it. I freely admit it. I would be Reg Barkley. I would totally be the, I can't deal. I'm going to be in the holodeck. Call me when the Romulans are gone. It's but my escape from this hell pit of our current reality is West Wing. Like Chris was saying before, competence porn. White House staffers who love people doing well and being healthy competently, and of course, and yes, I'm a Sorkin fan, so pretentious, witty, over the top, pretentious, witty banter is sort of my jam when it comes to like non-genre television. So yeah, West Wing for me.
Yeah.
I can imagine nothing more exhausting than existing in a Sorkin verse.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
Like, man, I talk like this. I go through life like a bear on barbiturates.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're just surrounded by people that are like, all right, we got to keep walking and talking because something really bitty back here. Somebody about that. Your brother's in Afghanistan. No, I just can't deal with that level of.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Whereas
Wendy?
he married someone who talks that fast. So, hi, I'm Wendy Robb, and dropping back a little less fantasy and more, if it's based on our how do we cope with our current situation, my Wandavision therapy would be Red Dwarf. Because Erin and I are trapped together in a small, confined space, unable to escape and not entirely sure how and when we're going to get out of this.
Yeah.
I also fear that I may be Arnold Rimmer because I'm the one who occasionally says, honey, cheese is not supposed to be green. Something smells off in the kitchen. By the way, hon, the apples are going. They need to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I if we're in Red Dwarf, I'm afraid I'm Arnold Rimmer, and that's somewhat embarrassing.
Yeah. Tracy.
Yeah, so I've been watching Supernatural still. I haven't made my way all the way through it. So I think Supernatural is the universe that I would want to be in. If nothing else, just to get to a big part of the show is researching the lore so that they know how to kill the monsters. And that sounds really fun to do that.
That's what that's what I love about Buffy too.
The two of you want to be watchers is basically what you're saying.
Exactly. I don't think that I would be any good at actually killing monsters at all. I think I would be dead on the spot, but I would like to research how to kill the monsters. I think that would be fun. And they eat a lot of hamburgers in the show, which always makes me very hungry, but I think I could get down with that because hamburger is basically my favorite food. So yes.
Excellent.
Yeah. Well, that's so okay. So
really depressingly, I was just thinking about what Red Dwarf character I am, and it's definitely Holly, because I exist mostly on a computer and have an IQ of 6. So,
which Red Dwarf? Yeah, Tracy, have you ever seen Red Dwarf? I think you would actually like it.
It's so good.
No, I have not.
It's basically a one joke kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, it's like a one setup. They just managed to drag it on for 3 remarkably funny years, all things considered.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? That show is technically still being made. It's been on the air for 30 years.
I mean,
but then they made it again, and that was
sad. Made like 8 seasons.
It's basically the Odd Couple in space, but every episode is a bottle episode. It's
not every episode. Well, sometimes they have to let JFK kill himself.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so now it's the part of the podcast where we talk about the season finale to WandaVision. I'm starting a 25-minute timer.
Maybe odds be in your favor.
Good luck,
I
Joe.
want to go on record as saying I was wrong about some things, but I had it right. The real villain was the trauma we endured along the way. I quote myself from the last episode.
It's really interesting. I was listening to when I was going on a walk earlier, and we were all kind of right to varying degrees.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like no one really got it completely wrong, which is nice. It's nice.
Yeah, it was we went down some we overthought some things.
Yeah.
Specifically, some of us
Yeah. Oh yeah.
overthought
There
some
have been
things.
Oh yeah, there have been several think pieces about hardcore Marvel fans way overthinking every little minute detail. Like
Yeah.
the color of flowers was part of the rabbit hole.
Aaron actually did research the color of the flowers in people's yards.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, my exact line was, Aaron, this is still a Marvel property. You know this is going to turn into a giant Dragon Ball Z blast off for the last episode, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Although you said the last 2 episodes, and that
That is
was
true.
Did.
You
Yeah.
did.
and to be fair, the second to last episode totally was not that at all.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
It was funny because people were saying that that was a slow episode, or it was either a slow episode or that they found it really surprising. And I'm like, no, it just filled in a lot of holes that I was
Mhm.
pretty much already pretty sure.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I'm pretty sure this is
Yeah.
why that's working, but okay, now we've made it explicit.
Mhm.
Why
show-
sitcoms?
guys-
Well, yes, our rationale for they're a simple coded language, they're escapist. They just added another layer to that, which is adding retconning some history in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I
Um,
liked
You guys
is that
have
it definitely took its time,
Oh yeah.
but no, there wasn't any episodes that felt like filler.
Yes, I
Well,
agree.
I think that's also because this was a set number of episodes that from the beginning to the end. They were leaving a lot of breadcrumbs and a lot of trails for other movies and other properties,
Yeah.
but there was never going to be a season 2, so
Mhm.
it's going to be enclosed.
Like, as much I loved most of the Netflix Marvel. I loved everything except season 1 of Iron Fist with the Netflix
Yeah.
Defender
That is the
series.
most annoying fucking character.
Yeah,
This-
season
yeah.
2 actually pretty solid, a lot better. It was one of those rare examples where they took the criticism to heart and then actually fixed the things that people rightly pointed out were a problem. It still wasn't fantastic, but it was really good to watch a show like, oh, take constructive criticism well. That doesn't happen very often. That said, every one of those series, because they pegged them all to 10 episodes, every one of them was 2 to 3 episodes too long.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
Very
there were
much so.
whole episodes in every one of them where they were just like, I take that back. There's not one wasted episode of Luke Cage.
Well,
That
but
was
again,
phenomenal. But
you're going into series that knew they might have a season 2.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
you're gonna have some filler along the way because you're frantically writing a couple of episodes ahead. Whereas this is a movie in 8 episodes.
yeah.
or 9
Yeah,
episodes,
this is
whatever it is.
self-contained. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was always intended to be.
Mhm.
Aaron will hopefully come back someday. He is frozen yet again.
Oh God.
I will say that he and I are willing to go on record. One of the things that that I harped on in the last episode was in episode 1, we were there because of a missing person
Mhm.
who is referred to as by male pronouns. Aaron and I are willing to go on record that is fake Pietro, that is Ralph.
That is also what I thought.
Mm,
Because first off, you don't have a younger headshot of yourself on your coffee table unless somebody's produced it for you. Secondly, Ralph Boner is totally the name that an FBI handler gives you when you're a dick to him.
Yeah.
You're going to be Ralph Boner, and also Aaron pointed this out too, but actually he pointed this out for me. If you grow up with a name like that and someone makes reference to it, you don't laugh.
Yeah.
You don't go Boner. You just go, that stopped being funny when I was 4.
Yeah.
So those lead me to believe that he's the witness protection program guy. And as we debated back and forth as to whether he's actually a soup or whether Agatha was doing all of that, I think he is a soup. I think he still does lead into the multiverse, but that would have had to happen sometime in the last 5 years during the blip,
Mhm.
because that would have had to come in there somewhere, because it certainly hasn't come in the last 3 weeks since Endgame, there isn't any room in the timeline for that. Aaron does also get major credit for when during the big boss battle between Wanda and Agatha, she's slinging firebolts all over the place, and Aaron literally jumped up out of his chair and yelled, "She's not missing, she's casting runes."
Yeah, same. Yeah, that was good. I liked it. I was like, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing.
She was missing just enough for it to be plausible that she's just super freaked out. She was landing enough hits to keep her distracted.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when that fight started, oh shit, Sarah, what was the terrible, oh god, the Sebastian Stan Boy Witch movie?
Oh, The Covenant.
The Covenant.
Yeah.
When it first started, I'm like, oh god, this is the Covenant barn fight all over again. Which,
how dare you? The Covenant barn fight is art.
Yeah, no. If none of you have ever seen this movie, it's like they tried to remake The Craft, but with boys.
It's The Craft for boys.
Yeah, starring Sebastian Stan, and it's kind of craptacular. Like, it's worth watching.
Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Another backup, and this is again not on screen, but something I read later, is there was a cut scene. There was a cutout scene where Monica and Ralph and are you give? Okay. Okay. Where Monica and Ralph and Darcy go into the basement, and Senor Scratchy the rabbit turns into a demon.
Okay.
Which again would lead me to believe that Ralph is a soup of some kind. I am now going to take my headphones off so that Aaron can talk too.
Oh man. Oh, there we go. Yeah, see, we're getting there. Like we're getting your picture sped up. It's coming through and
there we go.
Yeah, it was resetting itself to the default.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Aaron.
So yes, while you were gone, I gave you total credit for the
I could hear. Yeah.
So, as is tradition, the Maximoff twins cease to exist, and also as is tradition, like they'll be back. Also, this was a lot less traumatic than the last time they were erased from existence by turning back into hands.
Yeah.
What?
Demons.
Yeah.
Hands.
Okay.
Wanda made them out of pieces of a demon, and the demon showed up and is like, I want my parts back, and like absorbed them, and they were like screaming as they turned back into his hands.
Like baby puppets, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many Marvel characters?
They got better.
How many Marvel characters? So I know that isn't like a Nightcrawler somehow vaguely related to a demon.
Yeah.
There's like a couple, right, that are related to.
Well, it depends on which retcon you're at.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
There's been like 4 different versions of everything.
Yeah.
That's why I've been loving reading the Easter egg things, because I'm not really a comic book person. I just have absorbed it by osmosis. So the reference to the sentient cow who nursed the Maximoff twins in a episode of something or was apparently in one of the commercials, and I'm like,
yup.
So who wrote, like, who introduced the Maximoff twins, like the actual human writer who introduced them, or the artist?
Why would you ask me that?
John Cheever.
Okay, because that's totally just a ripoff of the Romulus Remus thing.
Yeah,
but
except sentient alien cows.
Yeah,
except the cow. Yeah, right. Yeah.
But
Joe, are you suggesting that these comic characters are pulling inspiration from other sources and mythology?
I honestly thought it was going to be Stan Lee, because that just seems like a very Stan Lee move, to just take like a tiny step and then just pretend that like he invented, you know.
Yeah.
Well, we have gone on at great length in other medias, not we in the podcast, but in the similarities between comic book characters and avatars of gods, and how you can look at this is again nothing to do with WandaVision. This just has to do with comic books, where you have easily he's the something man, this woman, and it's very similar to a lot of the Greek gods. He's the god of this. He's the hero of that.
Yeah, it's a power fantasy,
and putting a face on an aspect of an avatar of something beyond you.
Yeah.
Which is what's really interesting about Marvel, because like in DC you still have that very one-to-one archetypal power fantasy, and then in Marvel it like bends back towards more human stories.
Yeah.
Well, Marvel is the house that Spider-Man built.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
In many ways, and that the whole point is that he's not that. He's a kid, trying to, not die and do the right thing.
Yeah.
Right. How about Sarah and Tracy? What did you all think of? Did you get to see the end of it? I know Tracy did.
Yeah. I did see the end of it. I'm sorry, I've gotten a little bit drunk. It's listen, it's fine. Don't worry about
it. Sarah just
That's
like, what?
Message, Sarah. But so what's your drunken version of
Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. No, oh fuck, what was I gonna say? I did like it. I was disappointed that there was like nothing for Monica Rambeau to do.
Yeah.
Because like that doesn't really make sense from a storytelling perspective. Like she was so important like throughout the series, and it was just like, bye.
Well, again, one of the original.
She gets shot and saves the kids, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like it's clearly setting up some other stuff for her, but I'm like, hey, I don't like.
Yeah.
What if the thing that I was watching now was good? Like I don't really care about this future thing yet. Like I want the thing that I'm currently watching to be a good thing.
Sarah,
the problem is they set her up as the co-lead, and then they didn't know how to work her into this very personal story at the end.
Right.
Because the real point of her being there wasn't to be the co-lead, was to set up Captain Marvel 2, what she's going to be in. And then, but Wanda at the same time has to wrap up her very personal story and set up Doctor Strange 2.
God, I can't believe I'm actually kind of excited about Doctor Strange 2.
Yeah.
What a world.
Right?
Aaron has been trying to say something for like the past 2 minutes.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of lingering threads that found their way to the editing room floor for pacing in time.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was more Darcy and the FBI guy.
Jimmy Woo.
They're like, okay, we only have 49 minutes, and this is going to interrupt us getting to the finish line. So sorry, guys.
Yeah, the same thing with the demonic rabbit. Yes, I would have liked to see, because we've been speculating about Senor Scratchy and who he might parallel in the comic books.
Yeah.
But I want to see a police procedural episode of the weekly with Jimmy Woo and Darcy.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Around and trying to fix shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Randall Park's got a lot of really interesting projects that he's done too. So I always like.
I love Randall Park. Randall Park is great.
And he's also thrilled that he managed the business card trick.
Yeah.
Like, no, they didn't have to CGI it. I actually learned it.
Yep.
I did laugh when I was thinking about, when they're handcuffing the what's his name? The sword director.
Yeah, that guy doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what his name is. He was not a good character. But listen, it's fine.
But at first, my thought process at first is like, what are they arresting him for? The kids he was trying to kill don't exist. And then I thought for a second, it went, oh wait, he's being arrested because White Vision flew away. He lost $20 trillion worth of vibranium.
Also, he fudged the video.
Yeah.
So he basically absconded with military property on a half-ass personal project. And tried to kill someone. Gave an order to have someone killed.
Right.
With the drone. So he lied to some people to get what he wanted, and he fucked around and found out.
See, I feel like if that happened in real life, he'd just get like a job on Fox News or something.
Yeah.
You know,
That's his role. That's his role in Captain Marvel too.
Yeah. Well, the thing I did like is that, again, they just the Kree during the first mid-credit scene, the Kree just points up. Now, I haven't seen the most recent Spider-Man movie, but the last time, which apparently chronologically that takes place like a couple of months after WandaVision. So did Nick Fury send the Kree, or did Captain Marvel send the Kree, or the Skrull? Sorry, my bad. I get my aliens mixed up.
Yeah.
Same.
But yeah, because you saw Nick Fury on the bridge, but that's in a movie that happens 6 months from now.
Yeah.
So I'm so confused.
Right. What do you think, Tracy?
Right, but it's insinuated he's been there a while.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Helping them set up whatever kind of operation is going on up there.
Oh,
Yeah.
I still haven't watched the new Spider-Man. Actually,
Yeah,
why haven't I done that? God,
I haven't watched the first Doctor Strange movie yet, so
it's fine.
yeah,
They're both fine.
that's Was that bloop bar? We need to stop talking. Because
No. Tracy, go ahead. Yeah, say something.
No, I was just gonna say, like, what does everyone think happened to the other Vision? I'm sure that there's theories about that. Yeah, because
That's a good question.
I have several theories. One of which is basically most of which boil down to he's gone off to think about his life, because he has all of a sudden got all these new memories and needs to integrate, and he's effectively pulling a Dr. Manhattan. He's like sitting on the moon meditating, or something, trying to figure out.
He gets a job in the inner city, and the kids teach him what he needs to know about life.
Poochie was needed on his home planet.
Yeah, I figure he's gone off someplace to figure out his shit, and will turn up at some point.
I would watch a sitcom also about the White Vision, but I would watch a sitcom about most things.
Indeed.
That's awesome. Yeah. That was my biggest question from the episode, which is, where did that guy go? What's his story now? So
yeah, again, he's like, this is what my reality is. Maybe not.
I've seen a few Black creatives I follow on Twitter say, responding to, I'm really not interested in the White Vision. I'm just not.
For some reason, I can't identify with him.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm just.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're calling him that because it's a similarity to a character that appeared in a run of the Marvel. He's never actually used the other Vision.
Yeah.
So
I did like that, we had it pegged. We had he's trying to use Vision's corpse to make sentient weapons.
Yeah.
We did have that part down because, again, the sword thing. So we were right about that. I was totally wrong about why Westfield. I kept hammering on, why are we here? Why are we in this city? And it wasn't any particular property of the city. It was an emotional resonance to the place.
Mm-hmm. Which is nice. I liked that.
Yeah, but I was like, there has to be a reason that we're in this particular town in New Jersey, other than random small town Kansas or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did very much like that the penultimate episode was very much about like the emotional arc.
All the people are like, I like wanted to cry when the one lady is like, maybe my daughter could be friends with your kids. If it fits with the storyline, can you please let her out of the bedroom? I haven't seen her. And I'm like, oh my God.
Did you guys get the sense that that's maybe how people writing for the Marvel Universe feel about writing their stories? That's kind of what I took away from it. It's like, God, just let me go home. I can't do this anymore.
Well, but the idea that the thing I really liked about this was that that a character was allowed to take the time to process something. I mean, other than Tony Stark becoming a raging alcoholic and Hawkeye going off to turn ninja or whatever the hell he does. Superheroes basically process trauma.
Hawkeye just became a serial killer for a movie.
That's
just a weird thing that happened.
But most of the heroes, the characters that we see, process trauma by just putting their heads down and going through it. No one actually processes their trauma. And in this,
I did like that a lot. Yeah,
you were allowed to see that not just processing the trauma, but also as she's leaving town and everybody's like, by the way, you've been torturing us for a week.
Yeah.
Power and so it has consequences that don't just involve like a building falling on people. And I like that.
Slight counterpoint. I would argue that that's the entire plot of Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Okay. But
I did love, and God, I love Patty Jenkins, and I don't want to diminish. Look, I'm one of the people who defends most of Wonder Woman 2. I think it's fun. I've watched it twice. It's enjoyable. Whatever. Yeah. That like 2-minute vision conversation was a much better execution of what she tried to do for the climax of Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
2, where you talk the villain into like not being a villain anymore.
I do very much like that there was the big like dumb action sequence at the end of it, like to settle it. But like ultimately the solution was like for both conflicts was just outsmarting the problem.
Wanda
I think that's nice.
is our problem. Wanda has to be our solution.
Yeah.
I also love that it's the ultimate evolution of the Kirk would always talk the sentient computer into self-destructing, and now we get 2 sentient computers just negotiating with each other.
I like how Real Vision like hard reset him.
You gotta hold the soul stone for 3 seconds.
Right, and then
factory reset.
Yeah.
Like when your tablet goes down, you just have to.
If you hold the soul stone and you pull on the ear at the same time, then it takes a screenshot.
You need to hold the button down while sticking a paper clip into this little thing, and then count to 3, and it'll reinstall all the apps.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what Marvel does now. I mean, like a week from today, we've got
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yep.
Yes. I'm so excited.
So we've had way too much introspective. So it's time to go start punching shit again.
Yeah.
And talking shit about each other.
Yeah.
Right, but also in its own way, still just a very expensive sitcom, and I am here for it.
Yes.
Yep.
No, it's just a buddy comedy.
Yeah.
Except they hate each other.
Yeah.
That's a perfectly legitimate way to be buddies.
It's perfect strangers, except instead of Eastern Europe, one of them is from the 1930s.
And also Eastern Europe.
Oh, and
Yep.
Literally, my favorite fact about Sebastian Stan is that he did grow up behind the Iron Curtain.
And it makes so much more sense. He grew up in Romania.
He's Romanian. Like, he spent like the first 8 years of his life in communist Romania. Like somebody at a con one time was like, "What comics did you read growing up?" And he's like, "What? None of them. We were communists.
We didn't have comic books.
We did not have them."
And thank God he came to America to play all of our sad gay boys.
Yes, God bless.
Did you bring me another broken white boy?
Oh man, no, just that. Did y'all see that new spot they released where Sam's just like, man, these guys are strong. They could be one of the big 3. What are the big 3? Aliens, wizards, and cyborgs. What? That's not the big 3. There are no wizards. Yeah, there's wizards. Doctor Strange. He's a sorcerer. A sorcerer is a wizard without a hat.
Yep.
Oh, so looking forward to that.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it'll be good. All right, you guys, we made it with 17 seconds to spare. I would like to
congratulate. Oh my God. I can't believe we've done it.
Good job. All right, so the next part of the podcast that I'm not even going to try to relate to the previous part is about, we were talking
Segways are
last
for
about.
cowards.
Segues are for the weak.
It started because we got talking about something after we turned the recording off last time.
That's right. That's
Hey,
right.
plus,
That's
you know, everyone knows the best Marvel movie was Into the Spider-Verse. Hey, Joe, what were you saying?
yeah, exactly. Thank you, Chris.
Nice segue.
It's funny you mentioned that. We're talking about animation now. So I think the premise that we've established here is that everyone just has to like talk about a piece, I don't know, an episode, a movie, whatever, the animation that they enjoy, and then kind of go to bat for it. Who wants to go first? I'm going to talk about anime, so I will go last.
We set this up because we were talking about weird anime, and we're like, "What's your favorite anime?" And then Sarah said, "But my brand is the woman who doesn't watch anime, so we can't do that." So then we're like, "Okay, we'll do something anime."
I've built my entire personality around not knowing anything about anime.
Chris, you put up the graphic of the icon or the poster for a certain animation. Would you like to start?
Yeah, Star Trek Below Decks. Let me tell you, it literally, we're just talking about everything's better as a sitcom. Star Trek sitcom.
Yeah.
It is my perfect show. Literally every episode, they take the premise of like a Next Generation episode and the premise of like an 80s sitcom episode and just sort of smash them together in the best possible way. So, you know, the premise of like most, like, you know, original series, Voyager, Next Generation, it's all like, these are the best of the best, the senior crew of the most important ship. Lower Decks is explicitly about the lowest ranking members of the least important ship in the entire fleet. Their mission, they are second contact experts, meaning that they come years after first contact to like make all the paperwork is signed out right. Explicitly, a big part of the mission is to make sure that they spelled the name of the species right, and that you know they exchange trinkets. They have like an entire storage room full of just diplomatic trinkets of like, oh yeah, we have to go deliver more things.
They're also like Uber drivers for ambassadors.
Yeah, and then you got Tawny Newsome here playing effectively the main character, who
I
is
love Tawny Newsome.
She's in everything, and I love her to death.
She's amazing.
Yeah, she's like almost like a Han Solo character within Star Wars if Han Solo were super competent. But
so not Han Solo then.
Well,
yeah,
okay.
so not Han Solo at all.
So she hates authority. She is a unapologetic alcoholic, and also insanely competent. She's
just Iron Man then.
Well,
get your nerd references right.
She's got a ship
Chris.
instead of a suit.
Yeah. Well, she's secretly the captain's daughter, but neither her nor the captain wants anyone to know that. And like literally in the first minute of the first episode, you know, you have Boimler, the nervous-looking dude here, who is like her best friend / dude that she torments. He's hiding in a closet recording a personal log like all these episodes start with, and she bursts in like, are you pretending to be a captain again? God, you nerd. Here, help me hide my swag. And she's got an entire like flat cart full of contraband, and one of them is a bat left, and she's like, look what I got. And she like cuts his leg off because she's drunk, and she pretty much sets the perfect tone for the rest of the episode.
This just sounds like our friendship. Is that why you like this?
Oh my god! The last episode of the season, they do stuff like, Aaron, you'll love this. They get the first exocomp ensign, the first exocomp that has completed the academy and joined the crew, and it has a terrible attitude and it sucks.
For those of our listeners who aren't Trekkies, what is an exocomp?
It's kind
For those
of
of our hosts who aren't Trekkies, what is an exocomp? I don't fucking know what that
Can you
is.
explain this to me?
Yes, thank you.
It's basically a robot that looks like something between a flying toaster and a fleshlight. And
Okay.
it's like literally
That's
like
horrifying.
I'm sorry, that hurt my brain.
Hey, Aaron, am I wrong?
I wouldn't necessarily put it quite like that, but yeah,
That's a good Friday night. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It is a sentient dustbuster.
Okay, that's that. Yeah, sure. That's one way to put it. But then like the episode involves them. They get attacked by the Packleds, who are this species that's notoriously like the dumbest species in Star Trek. And like finally, like at the end of the episode, Riker has to show up in his ship to save the day, and he looks at their ship, and he's like, "Hey, you guys held out pretty well. Starfleet was long. You guys lasted way more than 10 seconds in battle."
He lost a bet on that.
Yeah.
There was.
And it's just it's. I'd be interested to watch. I'm gonna make Sarah watch it at some point because I want someone to watch it who didn't grow up with Star Trek and see, because so much of it is just like pure like it's 100% all that shit that you would sit around going, what would happen if I were trying to live in Star Trek? Like, Boimler meets a nice girl, things are going well, and then the main character, she's back there like, she's a salt vampire, right? Yeah. You know that, right? She's gonna leave you a husk. It's like, oh, she is hot.
Yeah. You know what though, Chris? I have to say, it sounds like it's almost kind of a return to form for the original Star Trek, a little bit. Like last week in Tracy and I were watching.
No.
No,
wait. This is literally the kind of show that begins.
Yeah, no. What I was gonna say though is like, we were watching the one episode of the original Star Trek where Spock gets horny and has to fight to the death for his girlfriend who doesn't like him.
Yeah,
I forget which one
relatable.
That is. Yeah, but it's like so off the rails, like Gene Roddenberry instead of whoever the guy is who took over for him that people actually liked later.
Not like this. You mean not like the space hippies?
Yeah.
Yeah,
the guy who invented Klingons, who like came after Gene Roddenberry. I forget what
Gene Roddenberry could never really nail down exactly what he was trying to do with Vulcans, because like half the time they're like space Germans, and the other half of the time they're space hippies, and like that kind of like, God. 21st century writers trying to make sense of all the background lore for Vulcans has resulted in so much like head scratchiness of like, I don't know, are they just like super scientists, or like they're really into harps for some reason? They only fuck every 7 years. Like, what the hell's going on? We don't know.
The one we were watching had like this weird apparatus with little bells on it, and so you had
I know
like
it well.
Yeah, I forget what. Right. So who's next? Who's after Chris? Who was to go next?
Okay, well, I actually did homework for mine because again, nerd.
Yeah.
Okay, and mine is 1977's Rankin Bass version of The Hobbit, which is how most of us were introduced to, visual Lord of the Rings. An amusing thing I found out about it came out in 77, and Ralph Bakshi's Fellowship of the Lord of the Rings came out the following year. Because as Arthur Rankin said in 2003, that it was in public domain at the time, although the Tolkien estate virulently disagrees with that. But there was apparently some shenanigans, which is both of those movies got made in like a 3-year period. It's the animators were mostly Japanese. The concept art was done in the US and then sent over. And the animators from the company was called Topcraft. They eventually got absorbed into through a couple of other corporate restructurings. They eventually became Studio Ghibli.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the studio went bankrupt in 85. Miyazaki bought it, laid off most of the animators. They went to work for a company called Pacific Animation, which got bought by Disney, and then that got rolled back to get all. And at that point, they laid off a bunch of the animators, who all then went back to work for their old bosses, now owned by Miyazaki. So it's effectively a lot of the people who had just finished working on Nausicaa Valley of the Wind before they got this gig. And this was the early days of outsourcing animation overseas, which was not real popular, which led to some animation strikes years later. But this movie, it holds up remarkably well, especially when you start looking at things like the cast list. Gandalf is voiced by John Huston. Bilbo is voiced by Orson Bean. Thranduil, the Elven King, is voiced by Otto Preminger. And the singing voice of the Goblin King is Thurl Ravenscroft. You may know him as the Grinch.
Also Tony the Tiger.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. So it was basically, as I said, it was made during a period when they thought that, I said some debate as to what was and wasn't in public domain. It was the same studio that did the animation, also did the animation for the Last Unicorn. Came out a couple years later.
Yeah.
So there's a very similar look to it.
So good.
It was nominated on the long list for a Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Feature Long Form and lost to Star Wars.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's to lose.
Yeah.
It's to Star Wars. The movie was very formative to me because, in addition to it being on, it was shown on TV, it was released on a vinyl LP with the songs and the dialogue, which I checked out probably more than 15 times from the Regional Public Library in Ridgewood, New Jersey. And then when I got my first Sony Walkman, I checked out the record and dubbed it onto cassette tape so that I had it to listen to it when I went to the beach. It's the first thing I ever pirated onto cassette.
Yeah,
But
there's only one of those songs I really remember, and it's one from Return of the King.
Yeah, it's from the sequel. Yeah. This one I can still sing songs I sang in third grade choir, so I can still sing most of the songs from this, and I haven't watched it in a couple of years. But
Wendy, tell them which song I'm thinking about.
Where there's a whip, there's a way. Yeah, that one. Yeah, the greatest adventure, and this is not bad. Roads Go Ever On. The songs were by, oh God, I gotta look that up. Glenn Yarbrough, who was the lead tenor for the Limelighters. So he wrote all the music, used a lot of Tolkien's lyrics, but also adapted it on his own. But it formed so much of what I thought Lord of the Rings looked like when I was growing up. I'd read The Hobbit and later read The Lord of the Rings. So when we got to Peter Jackson's Hobbit, in my head, dwarves are pissy old men.
You did not appreciate the hot dwarves.
Hot dwarf cognitive dissonance in a huge way. I mean, I had wrapped my head around Gimli because I played enough D&D. So in the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings movies, I could buy that. These guys are older and they're not the heroic ones. He's sort of a more heroic and younger version of them. That I could get. But the muscle-bound, long-haired dwarves, in my head, they all look like the Gimli at your service. Loins, oin, son of Loin, at your service. We are all at your service. And they all talk like that.
Right. It was like Disney dwarfs. It was like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Not quite. They look older and crankier. Except for like the three young ones, Bifur, Bofur, and Bomber. Bomber's the fat one, but Oin and Gloin were the young ones. So everybody else had like gray hair. But you've got John Huston voicing Gandalf. People who are way too good for this movie. But yeah, it was the version that I have is on Warner Brothers Family Entertainment, released it on DVD in 2001. Oddly enough, with some sound effects and a couple of lines of dialogue removed for some unknown reason. Who knows? So that was formative. It was my introduction to what I thought what Tolkien stuff looked like, and I think I was 77, same year Star Wars. So I was a Star Wars baby. So yeah, I was 11. So this kind of the golden age of science fiction is 11.
Yeah.
And so that formed a lot of what I think about high fantasy to be, even with the squabbling and big fat toes and hanging in trees and all that stuff.
Yeah, I came to a lot of the Rankin Bass stuff during the Disney Renaissance. So it was some real dissonance of like, what the hell, man? Man, that animation used to be real weird. Out of my head, that's just what all animation looked like before the Renaissance.
Yeah, but like I said, the Rankin and Bass, or Arthur Rankin wrote the script, and they did the concept art in the US and then sent it over to Topcraft and said, okay, yeah, put this together, make it move.
Yeah. All right, Sarah, Tracy, Aaron, who's next?
I'll go.
It really is like show and tell. It's like, who wants to go next, kids?
All right. So one of my favorite animated films is called Sita Sings the Blues by Nina Poleni. She produced this thing completely on Flash, if you believe it, and because of challenges of rights challenges of the soundtrack, she made the decision to make it completely available for free online. It's fantastic. It's
Isn't it like licensed under a Creative Commons license or something like that?
Exactly.
Yeah. I've heard of this before. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. So the music throughout it is like 1930s jazz, sung by Annette Henshaw, and it basically is an imaginative retelling of a big chunk of the poem the Ramayana, and the within simultaneously you also you have three different types of animation going on throughout. You have this hand-drawn animation, which is seemingly a semi-autobiographical story of Nina's life and how she ended up animating this thing, which is hand-drawn. You have this sort of chorus of people trying, sounds like three friends discussing the story of the poem of the Ramayana, and who each of the characters were and what's going on historically. And this is done using shadow puppets. And then the third form of animation is this very bright, vibrant. It does. Let me say, it does not look like South Park, but it's that sort of. It's supposed to look like it's done stop motion, but it's clearly computer generated. And it's fantastic. It's available for free pretty much anywhere. If you just Google Sita Sings the Blues, you're gonna find it. It's there's depth to it, and it's one of my favorite mature animation films. And when I say mature, I don't mean salacious. I mean, you know, it works in very mature content and themes amazingly well. I don't know what else to say. See it. Watch it.
Be it.
Yeah.
All right, Sarah.
I gotta follow up the like thoughtful one with my sheep in the big city bullshit. Okay.
I love sheep in the big city.
Yeah. No, like I don't actually have that much to say about it. Like it's just like a very fun show. Like I looked for it streaming like after I decided to do it, and I realized, yeah, it's not streaming anywhere. It's not available to like rent or buy anywhere. Maybe the DVDs are available. I don't know. I didn't look at that. I don't have any way to play DVDs anymore because it's 2021. So I rewatched the first episode via Crime, as one does. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Fuck, I've totally lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. I got a little bit too drunk for this one, y'all. I'm sorry.
Mo Williams, or Willems, I think is how you say it.
That's it's Mo Willems, who is like now a very like prolific and popular picture book author, I believe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It makes total sense.
Yeah, it's a Mo Willems joint. It's it was one of the cartoons. So on Cartoon Network back in like the early 2000s, like the same generation of cartoons is like Dexter's Laboratory and the Powerpuff Girls and like that kind of thing, like all the Tarkovsky kind of stuff. It's just like a very like silly, absurdist show about a sheep going on adventures throughout the big city. That's pretty much it. Like it's just like a good time. Like my favorite joke from the pilot episode is he doesn't know the meaning of the word fear, which is why he's taking an English as a second language course. Like no, like it's just a good time. Like
yeah.
Like I rewatched the pilot and I was like, yeah, this is not just nostalgia. Like this is a good show.
It's legitimately good. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So you
All
can
right,
also
Tracy.
watch it via Crime, and maybe if enough of us watch it via Crime and talk about
I'll
it,
make it.
you can watch it via Not Crime.
Yeah.
There must be a story here because you're not kidding. It's not available for purchase anywhere. I've been Googling while you're talking.
Yeah.
It has been erased from existence. This might be something that your brain created. No, I mean I remember it too, which is not surprising if your brain created it.
It's a
Cartoon
collective
Network-
fever dream of the
Cartoon
Sarah
Network
Chris
is
hi-fi.
notorious. Cartoon Network is notorious for not releasing anything on DVD from in-house.
And it's because the production is split between Hanna-Barbera for the first season and Cartoon Network for the second season.
Oh, yeah, the rights must be a nightmare then.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Yeah. All right,
I don't
Tracy.
know.
So
you
that is the end of my statement. Watch Sheep in the Big City via Crime.
Yes, you should.
This
You
podcast
should. And
endorses Crime. That's what you should
Yes.
take away.
it does. It's fine. All right, Tracy, go ahead. What is yours? The best.
Awesome.
cartoon
Okay,
one.
so mine is very brief here. I really like Bob's Burgers. I really think that Bob's Burgers is like, I think it's like a less crass Roseanne animated, without the focus being on like the crass mom and being on each character. Like I think that's part of what it is. It's just like, it strikes me as like being just as like really fun working class family. I think that each character is really well developed. I think that it's charming. I think that it's hilarious. I think that the voice acting is really, really good. I think that each character has their own merits that like makes each of them like entirely lovable in their own way. So yeah, that's my like very shortened version of why I like this show.
Who's
I
your
think it's
favorite
funny-
character and why is it Tina?
I think a better question is which character are you, and then which character are you really? That's really what Bob's Burgers is. Because people are always
Right.
like, yeah. Because I mean, I think I said, who did I say, Tracy? And it definitely wasn't right.
Jean, you said
no.
Jean for yourself.
But I said Louise, and then someone was like, no, you're like Tina and Jean mixed together. I'm like, yeah, I guess that's sort of right. That's fine.
See, I think I want to be like Tina because I think Tina is like the most lovable character on the show. But I think that if I'm very honest, I'm much more like Linda, like a lot more annoying characteristics. Like just to be totally honest, like if I'm just being real, like I think that that's probably accurate. Like just how she like burst into like spontaneous like song and dance, like just like annoyingly. Like I feel like that's much more my style. So.
I like when people spontaneously burst into song though. That's fun.
Yes. Yeah, it is. It is fun when she does it on the show. I think it's less fun in real life.
I don't know, man. Shauna McGuire and her friends ended up doing an entire scene from I think it was Into the Woods on San Francisco public transit one afternoon in the midst of unsuspecting bus passengers. So
I mean, that's a challenging score, so like good for them.
Yeah. The episode.
Shannon has played Little Red in I think 4 different productions. So
The episode where
I've somehow been in Grease twice, despite the fact that I don't even fucking like Grease.
I have been in 3 different productions of Two Gentlemen of Verona, arguably Shakespeare's most boring and derivative play, including the 60s rock musical version.
Nice. That's the Boys from Syracuse?
No, it's two gentlemen of Verona.
Oh, it's still Two Gentlemen of Verona?
It's still
Oh
Two
God,
Gentlemen
there's
of
2
Verona.
of them? Jesus.
Yep. Boys from Syracuse was some other Shakespeare play.
Yeah. Oh, which one was
Yeah.
Boys from Syracuse? Fuck, I don't remember. It doesn't matter.
You were gonna say something.
Oh no, just saying that episode of Bob's Burgers where Tina is mistakenly called Dina, and she takes that as a cue to become, quote, a completely different person. And it's literally just her making slightly different like it captures being like 12, 13 years old in the most painfully accurate way imaginable. That and the musical episodes. Oh my god, the Topsy episode was one of those moments where I went, "Oh, is this one of the best shows ever made?"
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
They do. I don't like musical stuff at all. And I love when they do musical stuff on this show. So like they've made a lover like out of me for a musical cartoon shows for sure.
Well, that's always
And I think
that's always the end scene is always like a musical recap of whatever happened in the episode.
which is always really fun. And like the opening scene is really fun in this show, like how it always changes up a little bit and it's like reminiscent of like the Simpsons in that way, that Bob's always got like the fun name of the burger on the wall. I think that's always unique for the episode. I just think there's lots of little fun things like that keep the show fresh and interesting. But yeah, Tina is clearly the best character ever in the show.
Yeah, that was supposed to be a boy until very late in the development process, and very late they rejiggered the character and just made the decision to keep the same voice actor.
Yeah.
Which is how we get what's his name?
Dan Mintz.
Yeah, get Dan
yeah.
Mintz playing the most iconic preteen girl in the history of television, and
Yeah.
it's
The Boys from Syracuse is based on a comedy of errors.
oh yeah,
I knew it was a different Shakespeare play.
Yeah. That's just some real-time fact checking from me.
And like I don't know why, but oh my god, that the Goonies episode, the Taffy Factory.
Yes.
Oh my god, it is such a pitch perfect Goonies homage and simultaneously a fantastic episode in its own right.
The one where they go to the museum and like they and Louise and they run off like into the, I don't know, that felt, it captures childhood very accurately, like the feeling of being a child.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I went to the museum with a friend and we ran off and spent the rest of the evening making the dinosaur stomping noises.
Yeah.
That's why it has to be a child thing.
Yeah. All right.
You can do it now too if you want. It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm going last just because my thing is I want to talk about anime, and really anime is like a genre. It's not. So Sarah, while we've been talking, I've been like, what could I recommend?
Well, Sarah won't
watch, but she'll be forced to at least admit that maybe in a different universe she might like it, but she probably still won't watch it.
Here's what's fucked up. Sarah, I'm gonna throw you under the bus here right now.
Absolutely, fucking do it. Drag me, bitch.
No, because here's what thing is. So the reason she won't watch it is because 90% of it she would fucking love.
I don't think that's true.
Oh, Sarah, do you know how much anime is just like a soap opera sitcom set in high schools?
Yeah. There's
a
lot.
Yeah.
See,
There's
it's
a
not
lot
a
of
genre problem. It's like a tone problem, because it feels like every anime I've tried to watch, it's either like entirely too grim. It's like, I don't need to feel this sad. I feel sad already. Please leave me alone. Or it's just like very shrill, and I'm just like, sonically, I can't do this. Like, I respect what you're about, but
that's because you're talking about like I'm not going to like use the Japanese because no one cares, but there's like the girls genre and the boys genre. There's also anime that is for adults, but like the girls genre one, that's like everything from Sailor Moon all the way down to, I mean, there's like 1,000 different ones. And then the boy genre is where it's like shrill teenagers talking about their superpowers. And I'm not as much into that one either. Like I get it, But they're,
Yeah,
I mean, they're
one of the most popular ones now is there's one about a team of basketball players, and there's another one that is really popular because it's about members of a swim team. So we get to see pretty boys with their shirts off.
I've heard a lot about the gay volleyball anime.
There's one about tennis and baseball. There's one called I forget what the English title of it is, but it's like Shogeki no Soma. It's about a chef. Like the whole thing is about this chef just being like the best chef he can be, and it's very Naruto. But there's so
I don't know
much.
what that means.
Naruto is
I used to own a copy of Wings of Oniyama's.
Naruto is a stupid anime about a bunch of ninja teenagers being ninjas.
Okay.
And getting to be better ninjas. It's not great. It's that one's not, but that one's very mainstream. Like that's from the boys genre. So like if you like any of the Miyazaki stuff,
I do like Miyazaki. Yeah. I have a beating heart. For God's sake.
That's anime. Like
I know. I like
you just need to carve out all of the shrill like there's a lot to carve out, and that's just because there's so much of it. I mean, I almost would suggest that if you actually find like if you flip through manga at a bookstore, that is a safer way to find something that you like, because then you don't have to set through. I mean, you just have to be prepared for some occasional weird genre crossover. That's what it's all about.
Okay.
Yeah, you can search by general subgenre on Crunchyroll. That's what I tend to do, is I tend to search by subgenre or by what's new, and then I go down the reviews. And that sounds like it might be interesting. Oh God, everyone hates it. Okay, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll go to something else. But I'm a huge fan of Japanese of AKB 0048, which is Japanese idol girls fighting for artistic freedom in space with their little microphones that turn into swords.
Yeah.
So I may not be the most reliable judge of artistic.
I mean, that does sound good, but like I've seen a lot of things that like sound good where I'm like, I don't enjoy the experience of watching this.
This is very. We are friends, and friends will go through things together, and we will be there for each other, and we will become
I like that.
better people.
Yeah,
that's very terribly earnest.
Did you ever watch any of the new Voltron, like on Netflix?
Yeah,
I watched a little bit of it. I don't think I made it past like the first season.
Okay, so that Voltron is interesting, especially the new one, because it tries to synthesize. I mean, like the thing that I think, I'm sure all of you know this, but maybe not all our listeners realize.
I do love Avatar: The Last Airbender. Is that helpful?
That's what you're seeing. The cross-pollination of American animation and anime is like you can't even really honestly separate them anymore. I mean, even if you're talking about,
this is how this got started, was
even pre like World War II, there was crossover. Like the guy who did Astro Boy, he had a story about a lion called Simba the White Lion, and then Disney stole it and made the Lion King. I mean, like it's just been happening forever. But I mean, I guess if I had to pick
the crossing it over to American, as I said, we outsourced a lot of our animation there because American animators actually wanted to get paid. So and now that there's enough people are familiar enough with that visual style, that's now bleeding over into what is available now for American audiences. Because when I started watching anime, it was I ran home from school to see Star Blazers, which is Space Battlecruiser Yamato in Japanese, and then I came running home to watch Battle of the Planets, which was one of the American versions of Space Ninja Force Gachimon.
Ninja Force Gachimon.
But I watched Tech, and the American release was put together out of 3 different other shows.
That's what they did with Voltron too. It's very common.
And
I mean, it
didn't make it. You go back and like, this makes absolutely. How did we get from the? Fine.
Well, I mean, a lot of it comes from like after World War II, the Japanese animation studios were dealing with these economic constraints. And so they did things like, whereas I don't know the exact number, this is just an example, but like American animation studios were doing like 30 frames per second, right? And Japanese studios were doing like 10, which is where you get the style of like someone talking and then it's just like a little mouth doing this. It's just about, and then it became part of the stylistic sort of component of that. Before we go on too long, I have to, so the one that I actually picked is called Paranoid Agent. And if you've never seen it, you should. It's really fucked up. It makes very little sense, but it's absurdist and it's also kind of noir at the same time. I mean, I think it's really interesting just to see American genres, sort of like did we talk about Giri Haji on this podcast yet? Have any of you seen that?
Maybe, yeah.
It's not an anime, it's like a live action, it's a TV show, it's like a detective TV show that takes place in Japan, and it has the woman who does the voice in oh God, why can I not remember the name of it? The Pixar movie with the Scottish girl who's
Brave.
like an archer.
Brave.
The woman who does the voice of the girl in
Of
Brave
Merida?
is in Giri Haji. She's like the British detective in that. But it's, I think speaking of tone, one of the best parts of anime is really just the slowed down tempo of the plot and the tone kind of infused in that way. So I can't recommend just one. But that's, but everybody should try to watch.
But there is so much out there. I mean,
yeah,
as you all know, I'm a costumer, and I've been doing reproduction costumes and judging masquerades for quite some time now. And I, myself and two friends of mine from the traditional costuming background, were asked to judge the masquerade at an anime convention. Thank the gods that we had a cell phone signal, because no any backup documentation. So it's really hard to judge how much you look like that if we don't know what that is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
Everybody assumed that we would know who they were, and there's just so goddamn much of it.
So much. Yeah,
We're just there's just no way. And so we literally had one person whose job it was to Wikipedia all of these characters while these people in costume were standing in front of us telling us about how they made the costume. We're like passing it back.
Yeah, no, that's what my cousin Julie does that. She's in art school at University of or not University of Chicago, at the Art Institute right now, and that's kind of her thing. And she tends to stick to print because she's from where Sarah and Chris and I are from, and it's like rural Illinois, and so she doesn't get the good manga out there, and I don't know, what is it, half price books or whatever, I guess. But
I mean,
we don't have a half price books. We're not fancy enough for a half price book.
You can get manga on side tabs of Crunchyroll now.
Yeah.
And it's free. Yes, you have to sit through ads. Generally, you have to sit
We got a Books A Million, bitch.
Books A Million. Thank you.
But yeah, no,
half the store is t-shirts and the other half is Bibles.
Yeah, but, yeah, you can get manga. You can get manga through a tab on Crunchyroll. Although now that Funimation has bought Crunchyroll, I'm not quite sure what that's going to do for American access to a lot of these. We've been finding some really weird anime, older anime on Tubi.
Yeah.
Voodoo has the complete.
I love Tubi.
Yeah,
Tubi is great.
Voodoo has the complete all 3 seasons of Robotech uncut, just dubbed, which is nice. Helped me figure out what the hell the people were talking about that whole time. But no, Tubi is the one where I walked out in the living room one morning, and Aaron was in the kitchen making breakfast, and I'm like, honey, not to belittle your movie taste in any way, but there's a naked lady in the shower being attacked by a giant snowman, and I'm not sure what's going on here.
Full Moon Studios
has its own channel on
there. So it's everything from the Puppet Master movies, the Scanner, or the Trancers movies.
Yeah.
Tubi does seem to be a great resource if you really like cheesy horror stuff.
Yeah.
And that's how we started watching. One of our guests at Virtual Capricorn, as part of his introduction, he's like, okay, well, this is a convention for other nerds, and so I want to nerd out about something. And he talked for like 10 minutes about Kamen Rider. And so we sat down and started watching Kamen Rider, which it's like the sixth Batman.
The patron saint of dirt bikes.
Yeah. I'm like, we're Googling like where to watch Kamen Rider, and I'm like, Tubi. Okay, I don't even know what this is, but I get it on my Fire TV. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Tubi is great. It's totally free to watch. There's ads, but like, what doesn't have fucking ads at this point? And like, it's got like a huge selection of like queer film, like, and it's also got like very like 90s video store energy. Like it's that like you're gonna stumble on something weird.
Yeah.
Like it's not like well curated. It's just like a strange collection of things.
Of everything, right? Yes,
that
exactly.
Basically that they can get hold of because nobody wants to pay money for them.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking about this. Like, this is something I think about. Like, how do the youth today like discover like weird movies? Because like they're not watching basic cable anymore. Like all the weird shit that like we all watched was just like whatever was playing on Comedy Central at like 2 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon. Like,
where will the children find space truckers?
Yeah.
The weird thing is we're running.
How will the children discover their Clue or whatever the fuck?
Their Clue. I'm running into kids who come through Jeffco who literally watch nothing but anime, and they're not even like. Yeah. I mean, it's weird because they're not necessarily like what we would think of as anime kids. Like if you just
they're not
what an anime
weebs, is that what you're saying?
I mean, they are, but not in the same way. It's not intentional.
Not in the same way that we were when you go to the con and you buy the bootleg VHS,
right,
or you know somebody that has a region one video player.
Yeah, they're not watching like Lupin the Third or something. They're like they've just seen what's the one?
I don't know what that is for sure.
It's like a stupid James Bond kind of, or maybe not James Bond.
Okay.
Hey! Don't shit on Lupin. Come on.
It's not.
James Bond is the stupid version of Lupin. Come on now. And I love Bond.
It's so mainstream now that you're getting it on Netflix. You're getting it on a lot of different streaming services, and so a lot of the more obscure ones that we got. We had anime night at the Red Lion pub in Chicago in the early 90s, where again we had somebody with a region specific DVD player who knew somebody in Japan who would mail them VHS tapes.
Who would import them? Yeah, right.
Because that's how the only way you could get them. And so now it's mainstream enough that it's on the primary streaming services that people use. Plus, again, Crunchyroll is free, although you can pay to have no ads. Funimation is free, but you can pay to have no ads. Netflix has a lot. Crackle has a lot. And a lot of stuff.
Or you could just steal them on YouTube. It's fine. Sarah, is there not a BTS? Is there not a BTS anime? That would really surprise me.
No, they are producing a K-drama based around. It's not based around the band itself. They have a storyline that is running through some but not all of their music videos, and also like some other transmedia properties, and they are making a K-drama based around that. It's very weird. Like all of the characters like have the same names as the members of the group, but also like it's not actually about them. It's deeply homoerotic because of course it is.
So they're just making their own RPF now.
Well, again,
kind of, honestly.
When I was talking about AKB 0048 was one of the most popular at the time idol girl groups in Akibahara. So it was AKB48, and so they decided to do an anime based on the band. So these are the hundreds of years later. Each character, each of the characters strives to take on the personality of one of the original founders and become a successor. And it is. We have extrapolated Japanese idol girls into science fiction.
Yeah. It's
so,
like it is a very common thing for like members of K-pop groups, like K-pop idols, to act in K-dramas, but like it's not that common for like there to be things based around those actual groups. Like I think it's probably going to happen a lot more like as time progresses, because a lot of groups are doing this thing now of like a universe within their like music videos. But
oddly enough, I've become fond of I believe they're Japanese, I could be wrong, of a chubby boy band. They're called the Produce Pandas. And they're actually really good. But their whole point is that they're not the pretty K-pop guys. They're just, they're the one kind of nerdy looking guy, and then the pudgy guy with the mustache. And I think that's wonderful. And they're like, we don't look like that, but that's okay because our hearts are in the right place.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm trying to tell just from the alphabet.
What?
I'm looking at I'm looking them up online. I'm trying to tell what country they're from.
Oh,
Sarah, the one I've been watching that I might try to push on you at some point, because it's I don't even know how good. So My Hero Academia, right, is the ultimate, like, they have hacked the brains of those of us that grew up with the Shonen Jump stuff.
Yeah.
Where
that's the boy comics. The Shonen Jump is like
Shonen. Yeah, the Shonen is the boy. Is it Shuyen? The girl? Shoujo.
Yeah.
Shoujo. Mm-hmm.
And like, oh my God, they've just boiled it down to its purest. It's like heroin form, where the main character is a guy in a world where like superheroes are just everywhere. Like you get tested for superpowers at a young age, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't have one, but he wants one more than anyone. So his superpower is earnestness. And consistently, it's like it's almost the Ash Ketchum thing, where his superpower is that people feel bad for him and then help him.
This is my face that I use when drunk men talk to me at parties about things that I don't care about. Is it good?
This is like the backfire what do you call it effect, where you just like we're pushing it too hard, you guys.
Yeah,
we gotta
No, this is like when straight men tell me to watch Blade Runner. Like, this one.
So our next episode is going to be about K-pop bands exclusively, because we put Sarah through this.
So Sarah has something.
Do you just want me to try to get you into K-pop? Because I will do that.
I have no doubt.
That is a service that I do provide.
I am fairly fond of, and I'd like to know more about some more of the K-dramas, specifically the historical ones, because the costumes are batshit.
Yeah. No, I haven't watched many of the historical ones. I've watched a few of the like I'm in my 20s ones. I haven't gotten into the like really historical ones, but the historical ones are very cool.
Aaron's been trying to suggest topics for the next episode, and I'm like, let's finish this one. Let's give Joe a place to actually edit the damn thing.
Let's stop recording. Let's just.
What if we stop before it devolves into chaos? What if we do that?
That's it for Season 4, Episode 20 of the Gateway Geeks Podcast, a mere 25 minutes of Marvel. Thanks for listening, and don't forget that we're now on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts. This episode was with Sarah Jane Connor, Tracy Gomillion, Chris Knetzer, Joe Kohlburn, Aaron Robb, and Wendy Robb. It was edited by Joe Kohlburn and produced by Chris Knetzer and Joe.